Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS. So we'll be continuing with our class 7th NCERT. This is chapter 6, as you can see, adolescence. Okay, so basic things about adolescence and all are discussed here. Now, let's get started. So if you look here, first it talks about basically different students and how plants change, okay, over time, how humans, how all animals change. Now, see this. It starts with so the journey of human race or human can be divided into infants, then childhood, then adolescence, then adulthood, then old age. These are the main stages, correct? Divided by different names in different cultures. Now, until around 10 to 12 years of age, most changes are usually just about height, weight, etc. Now, after this, what happens? You start seeing some notable changes as adolescence approaches. Correct. Now, humans, like most other organisms, they cannot reproduce immediately. Correct. So, adolescent is not the period where your body can reproduce. It is actually the period where your body is getting prepared to have reproduction or to make you an adult. That is adolescence. Now, as humans grow and develop, they experience significant physical, emotional, and behavioral changes as well. So, all this we'll try to study in this chapter. Now, growing with age. So, the teenage years. Okay. So, now this girl is saying that recently she has started seeing small mustache on Venkatesh. So Venkatesh has started having small mustache. Why? Because he is reaching the adolescence period of his life. Now, so what is this stage? So 10 to 19. It talks about that this time period between 10 to 19 years, this is mainly what you consider as adolescence. Now, increase in height is normal, correct? This happens at all ages now, till the end of adolescence. Now, there is also changes in body structure, weight gain, strength, that also happens, correct? Then there is change in voice also, especially in boys, correct? So in boys, they have something that we know by the name of Adam's apple. Okay, that you can see on throat of boys. Okay, some bulb like structure that is coming out, that is actually Adam's apple. It is not that women don't have voice box, of course they have, but the thing is it is not as big as the as what men have. Okay, so for men it is much more clearly visible. This also starts to happen during the adolescence period only. Then appearance of hair in different parts of the body, correct? Like boys start having different facial hairs, correct? Similarly, girls, boys, everywhere they will start having hair, correct? In different regions they start having small hair. Then another common occurrence during this period is that we know something as pimple, acne. All these are also things that happen during adolescence. Then now this it tries to mention so as to stop something that we know as bullying, that basically the change in height, voice, facial hair, all these things, the timing of them, the nature of them, the extent of them, all these varies. Okay, so some people mature very early and some people will mature late into their adolescence, or sometimes even late in their adulthood. They will start getting facial hairs. All that is fine, completely normal. Okay, then it talks about an important term. This is called secondary sexual characteristics. Now understand this. See, as you enter adolescence and you go towards adulthood, what happens? For example, in boys, you must have seen facial hair, correct? So, and change in voice you must have seen in boys, the growth of facial and chest hair in boys, then the development of breast in girls. These are not directly involved in the process of reproduction. Are facial hair important for reproduction? Correct. Or other things responsible for reproduction? No. But why they're called secondary sexual characteristics? Because they help you identify the sex or gender of a person. Correct. So these are markers of your gender or sex. That is why they are called secondary sexual characteristics. Then now, secondary sexual characteristics also mark the onset of something more important, that is puberty. Correct. So when you start having these changes, it is also a marker that this is the onset of your puberty. What is puberty? Puberty is that stage in which the body of an adolescent undergoes external and internal changes to develop into an adult capable of reproduction. Understood? So you are preparing, your body is preparing to become capable of reproduction. Okay. Now, this is why you must have seen that in old times, people, many women would reproduce around the age of 15, 16, correct? So that also is possible, but you must understand that it is normal for women that have become that much mature, okay, in every way. Now, in some cases, what used to happen that they have not become that mature, their body has not become that mature, and then also this try to bear a child, and then there used to be a lot of deaths also that are caused by this. Maternal mortality rate used to be very high earlier. That is why it was suggested worldwide that the marriage age, okay, the consummation age should be beyond 18, so that the adolescence period, which is the period where your body is preparing to become an adult to do reproduction, that should be left for preparation only. Understood? That's why the ages have been kept above 18 in most countries. Then now, the changes that indicate reproductive capability. Now, there is something known as menstruation. Now, what is menstruation? So this is a cycle. Okay, so this is a cycle also called menstrual cycle that happens every 28 to 30 days in women. Now, what happens? The real process of it that we'll see in higher classes of biology. So basically, after every few days, what I can give you an idea. So basically, what happens if this is a uterus? The uterus actually prepares itself for bearing a child. Now, if now for that it creates an entire environment. These thick walls full of blood is created for that. Now, if there is no reproduction process that is going on, then what will happen? This walls tends to break. Now, when this walls break, then there is a lot of release of blood. Okay, so this is what we know as menstruation. This is a very normal process that happens every month. Every month, 28 to 30 days, that is equivalent to a month. Now, in some women, it may be of 21 to 35 days also. This is also normal, not much as of an issue till the time it is regularly at these time intervals. Correct? It should not be just haphazard. Like sometimes it is after 20 days, sometimes after 35 days. That should not happen. Otherwise, it varies from one woman to another. Now, this eventually around the age of 45 to 55, this tends to stop. The menstruation stops naturally. This is also called menopause. Okay, now what is this? This is an indication. This is an indication that now this woman does not have the capability of reproducing. Okay, so like puberty and menstruation was a good sign that this woman has become fertile or now has started developing capabilities of bearing a child. This menopause is a stage where this capability drops. Then menstruation is a natural process, and all the myths that are created around it, they have no scientific basis. Now you all know this. Then now it talks about that adolescence is not just about reproductive capability changes. It is also about a lot of behavioral and emotional changes. You will study in society subjects, okay, that the relation between an adolescent and their parents changes drastically during this period. So the child starts thinking that now he should be deciding for himself, and the parent still looks at him like he's a baby, where everything should be decided by the parent. So there is a tussle, all that goes on, that you can read in society. Then it talks about making adolescence a joyful experience. So see, you might have heard this sentence that he's a growing age girl, he's a growing age boy, okay, let him eat more, let him have more food, correct? So basically, because your body is literally growing, you can literally feel it growing, correct? During summer vacations, I remember in school, before summer vacation and after summer vacation, you can literally see people have grown inches, okay. So how, so the change is very drastic, okay, very easily you can see them. Some person was very thin, suddenly they have gained mass. All that used to happen in adults. For that, you need proper food. By food I mean nutritional food, not all the pizza burgers that you eat, not that. Okay, then, so nutritious diet is very important, especially in this age. Then, now, in women, this has been seen that women actually suffer, especially school going girl child, that is adolescent girls, they suffer from hemoglobin, lower hemoglobin levels, and vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay, so these are, government also does many programs to cure this. Then it talks about one scientist, that is Hodgkinson this time, who understood the entire structure of vitamin B12. Now, she also, sorry, he's not she. So she also became the third woman to win the Nobel Prize in chemistry. Then, see, like most vitamins, so if you know, vitamin D is made by your body. This we have talked about in presence of sunlight. But otherwise, most of the vitamins you have to take externally. Correct? Your body does not make it. So vitamin B12 also you have to take externally. Then Then it talks about personal hygiene. Okay, so for girls, this become even more important during the menstruation period. Very important during that time. So menstrual hygiene is a very important component. Here, there should be use of sanitary pads, reusable cloth pads. All these must be used. Now there is a lot of awareness. Government runs many programs to distribute free pads to women or these girl childs. Then now it says it is important to dispose of used sanitary pads properly by wrapping them in newspapers and disposing them inside a dustbin. Why it is so important? Because that can have serious health issues and as well as environmental cleanliness issues. Correct? Because that is considered, not in the more religious way, but in other ways also, this is impure blood. Okay, so this should not be left anywhere like a normal, like some normal garbage that you throw. In India, it's the opposite. When you are buying a new sanitary pad, that is covered in all the newspaper and everything, and when you have to throw it, that is usually not covered in proper papers by some people. So this is completely opposite. It should be completely opposite. First, there should not be any stigma, as it talks about. So there should not be any stigma at all. Okay, when people are buying this, because this is a normal cycle, happens with every girl, and it goes on till many years. Okay, and when you are disposing it off, that should be done very properly. Also, like the most, now they have started making eco friendly or environment friendly biodegradable sanitary pads. Okay, otherwise most sanitary pads that you get are usually non biodegradable in nature. That's why also it becomes very important that they are disposed of properly. Then these are some government schemes that are going on. So menstrual hygiene scheme, again distribution of sanitary pads. Then Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. So it educates people. Okay, now Here it is all about peer education. So for example, older students will be talking to the younger students in this. Then Suvidha Sanitary Napkin Initiative, then state level initiative. For example, Suchi scheme is in Karnataka. So all these are schemes for mainly distribution of sanitary, two things, mainly distribution of sanitary napkins or pads, and the other is raising awareness about the menstrual health. Then then it talks about physical activity. Physical activity is of course very important. They help to build your, keep your body and mind fit, healthy, build up your stamina, boost your mood. For everything you need physical activities. Then you can see these girls playing football. This boy is doing jumping ropes. This guy is doing Surya Namaskar, little wrong but fine. And you have balanced social life. Okay, now, so other thing it talks about that what happens at this stage, you will start to have more and more interaction. Now in the new world you have more of digital interactions. Now because you start seeing the difference between a girl and a boy very clearly here, so many different kinds of feelings also appear here. Now that may be romantic in nature, so that also need to be curtailed. And the other thing that is there is sometimes it leads to bullying, because now two students will look very different because they are showing different variations, correct? Even within boys, within girls, there are so many variations. So they, this tends to become bullying. So then it talks about also in the digital world, because of the anonymity and people not being held responsible, students without really understanding what they're doing is actually bullying, they tend to go and do cyberbullying. They will make memes out of some classmate, something they will make, some objectionable thing that they think is not so, is just normal, but that is also an example of cyberbullying. Okay, to harass by sending misleading messages, spreading false rumors. This keeps happening, okay, in school, or sharing personal information without consent. All these are cyberbullying. Additionally, you should be always conscious of when you are uploading your pictures online. Okay, then then it talks about avoiding harmful substances, learning to say no. Okay, now you know what are harmful substances. You are not that small a child. Okay, so over time they start using them regularly. Now what happens? So they start in adolescence. What happens? There is curiosity. People started with excitement. They get influenced by people to try these substances. Then what happens? Over time they start taking it regularly, and this becomes substance abuse. Understood? Now you can see this lungs. This you must have seen before every movie also. This is a bit too beautiful lungs. Okay, and this is completely dark lungs because of smoking cigarettes or any kind of tobacco. Okay, most probably. Now in reality this is not this pink and this is not this black, but for children it is fine to make them very careful of this. Then Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. Okay, so this is what, this is launched by Ministry of Social Justice now and empowerment. So basically, this is about active participation of youth, women, community to take people away from all these substance abuse, especially the early age children. They also have a helpline 14446 in which you can call and you can talk to them that I want to leave, let's say, cigarette, but I'm not able to leave it. So then they will talk to you. There is a counselor, she will talk to you and they will tell you that how this whole system works. For 10 days you have to leave. After 10 days we'll call you again. Then they have feedback loop. They have do proper calling after 10 days to ask you how you are doing now, what you did, why you did, and it is completely safe. Okay, nobody is going to, based on those calls, nobody is going to make arrest for you. Okay, nothing like that. Now the why question for adolescents. Now this question remains that why such changes are observed. Why? So the reason is because of something that we know as hormones. So what happens? Hormones are certain chemicals that are produced in our bodies. Now they play a crucial role in our growth and development. Now because of these hormones, like some hormone you might have heard of, like testosterone, have you heard? Estrogen, progesterone. So all these are sex-linked hormones. Okay, so all these hormones are released more and more during the adolescence period. Because of that, your body shows all these changes that you saw. Changes you have understood, reason you have understood now. Then it talks about that we should be informed and ready to seek support and guidance when needed from elders before and should make healthy life decisions. Understood? Very simple chapter. This was about adolescence. Now, let's move to the next chapter, which is heat transfer in nature. Now, so this talks about every time they take these children to some new place. This time that beautiful place is Gangtok. Gangtok, if you know, is what? Is the capital of Sikkim. You should visit. Very beautiful place. Okay. It has snow also, sometimes covered completely by snow. Very beautiful, very clean also. It is one of the cleanest state that I have ever been to. Sikkim, it is also organic state, so fruits, vegetable, all taste much better. So all those things are there. Now, so here they are sitting, and what is happening here? So this grandma is cooking thukpa. Thukpa is a dish, okay, uh, that is made in northeastern region as well as North India. Okay, now north means I'm going north, the northernmost. Okay, those regions. So this there it is eaten. Now here he talks about that why an iron container is being used here. Okay, so the reason is because it can do conduction. So we'll understand the three ways of in which heat can be transferred. First is conduction of heat. Correct. What is conduction of heat? See, the process of heat transfer from hotter part of object to colder part is called conduction. See, I will tell you in very simple terms. Heat always travels from high temperature to low temperature. This will never change. Understood? Wherever you see whatever process, high temperature to low temperature. Now see how it works. So the first process we need to understand is conduction. Correct. Now, what is conduction? Conduction is which uses a medium directly, and there is very slight or no movement of atoms as such. So atoms and molecules are not moving. Essentially, what happens? This is what you feel. If you have ever cooked Maggie, okay, you may have cooked something else also. I have cooked only Maggie. So what you must have found that when you're cooking Maggie, so if you're holding a spoon that is made up of stainless steel, for example, and you are cooking Maggie. Now, after a time, what happens? That spoon itself becomes very hot. Why does that happen? That happens because of conduction. Understood what is conduction? So basically, the atoms or molecules that are present like this in the spoon. Now, this atom vibrates in its place vigorously, which vibrates this, which vibrates this. This vibration leads to transfer of heat, and eventually you who is holding this at the end, this spoon gets hot. Understood? This is conduction. It requires a proper material. Correct? Every material won't do this transfer of heat. Now, in this process, the particle gets heated, okay, passes the heat on to its neighbor, and so on. Moreover, the particles themselves do not move from their positions. Understood? Good conductor, bad conductor, they have given like 100 times. Now you know what is good conductor of heat, what is bad conductor. Now, bad conductors are also one more use case is given. So, clay and all these poor conductors are also used as tea or coffee containers. Why? Because they're poor conductors of heat, so they won't allow heat to escape. See, see, see this. If this is a cup, if this is a cup, now cup has something hot inside. The environment around it will be colder than this. At least this you are sure of that it will be colder. Now, if it will be colder, where will the heat flow? The heat will always try to flow from hot to cold. correct? So it will try to flow from the hot tea cup to the outside environment. Now, if this is made up of some kind of bad conductor, what will happen? Heat won't be allowed to pass, and that is why it will remain hot for a much longer. Understood? While if it was a conductor, then what will happen? The heat will transfer very fast out of. Fine. Then now it also talks about this, which is why you use woolen fabric in the winters. So woolen fabric actually has more pores. So it has a lot of pores. Now understand one thing, based on all these are based on same concept. Air is a bad conductor of heat. Always remember this, air is a bad conductor of heat. Now if air is a bad conductor of heat, what will happen? Now these woolen fabrics have more pores. Now in these pores, what will happen? Air will get filled in. Now once air gets filled in, it reduces the air, the heat flow from our bodies to our surrounding. I am talking about cool places. So in cool places, this is me, let's say this is me sleeping. Okay, now I am hot, and the surrounding around me is cold. If I'm living in a cold place, let's say this is me sleeping in Srinagar. Now in Srinagar, if I'm sleeping, this is cold, I am hot. Now this blanket, if I have a woolen blanket over me. Now because of air pores, there is air here, correct? This air won't, now flow will always be from high temperature to low temperature. So my body heat will like to travel to the outside environment. Now this will be trapped by the woolen blanket. Understood? Why? Because air is a bad conductor of heat, and that's why whatever body heat I have, okay, that much at least I will have with myself. That won't leave my body, and I will feel fine to sleep. Now now you might have seen that actually two thin blankets. So if you see here, now let's assume this is again me. Now you might have seen that two thin blankets tend to act much warmer than a single thick blanket. You understand why? So basically what happens when you take two thin blankets, now of course there will be some space between them. In that space, air gets trapped. Now when air gets trapped, what will happen? Again, air is a bad conductor of heat, so the body heat won't be able to escape. Same reason. Then it talks about the upper regions of Himalayas, such as Muri block of Uttarkashi, all this. Now what they do, they make the houses here are built often to stay warm during winters, with wall made of two wooden layers filled with cow dung and mud between them. As wood and mud are poor conductors of heat, they prevent the loss of heat and keep the house warm. Same process, if this is the house, I will fill it with, for example, cow dung. Okay, for example, this covering is of wood. Now what will happen? Whatever heat I have inside my house, I may be using a heater, I may be using anything, but that won't escape. Why? Because these are poor conductors. So my house, inside my house, it will be warm. Understood? Then there are houses with outer walls that are constructed using hollow bricks to keep them warm in winters and cool in summers. Again, same reason. You're understanding. This is about covering anything by poor conductors so that the internal environment is protected. Understood? So you will be, the house will be cooler in warmer temperatures and warmer in cooler temperatures. Correct? Saved from the environment. Then you come to convection. Now convection is slightly different. So here what happens? Here the particles itself move. Here the particles itself move. Okay. Now see this. See this example. This is a, now here what they have done. So they have taken water and now see. Yeah. So now here they have kept potassium permanganate. Now what is this? This is something that will look pink color or purple color to you. Now they start heating this water. Now what will happen? The water that is close to this part will start getting, will start moving up. Why? Because warm things gain more energy, so they tend to move up. So these particles will move up. Now, if these particles move up, of course, this won't be blank space. It is not like if you heat something, warm part goes up, then this is blank here. Correct? Water remains as it is. So what comes in its place is the cold water from the top. So it keeps flowing like this. So this is the entire flow. What will happen? This warm thing is going up like this and the cold one is coming down like this. Now, till what time this whole circular phenomena keeps on going? Till the time the whole thing becomes of same temperature. Correct? Now here, can you feel that here these particles, this first that was pink in color, is literally moving up. It's not just transferring heat, it's moving up. Correct? So here you have movement of particles itself. This is known as convection. So basically, this process of heat transfer is called convection, where, see this, where the particles itself are moving. Understood? So heat transfer takes place by actual movement of particle of liquid and gases from one place to another. Simple. Then it talks about land breeze and sea breeze. Okay. See, very simple concept. You will understand in one line. So basically, land, sea. Property about land is it gets heated quicker, it gets cold quicker. Sea takes time to get heated and times to get colder. So this, for sea everything will be a so slow process. For land everything will be a fast process. Now you see this. First you understand sea breeze. What is a sea breeze? See, during the daytime what will happen? During the daytime what happens? Understand that. So here the warm air, the land will be warmer, correct? The land will be warmer and the sea will be cooler, correct? Why? Because land gets heated very fast, sea will take time to get heated, so land will be warmer. This also they have written already. So see this. Yeah, so there is warmer land and cooler sea. Now what will happen? If there is warmer land, what will happen? This will rise above like this, correct? The vapors will rise above like this, or the heat will rise above warm air. So basically this warm land will heat the air around it on the lower part, and this air will rise up. Why? Because this is warmer, it has more energy, it is rise up and it will move towards the sea, correct? Now the colder air from the sea will start moving towards the land. Same thing that we were doing in that container, this and this, now you just turn it, it becomes this and this. So what is happening here? Cooler sea breeze starts blowing in this direction. Now this is called cool sea breeze. That's why even during the daytime, if you go towards the sea, there is a beautiful breeze or wind that is coming towards you. That is actually sea breeze. Understood? Then that's why you want a sea facing bungalow in life. Why? Because you can just open the window and even during the daytime there will be flow of air. Now, in night time what happens? Just the opposite. So in the night time what will happen? The sea will be warmer and the land will be cooler. Correct? So warm air again rises from here and moves towards the land, and cool air will go in this direction. Correct? Now, you might feel that sea facing bungalow is not in good anymore here. Now, understand, if you are making a bungalow, though it is not given, but if you are making a bungalow, what you can have is cross ventilation like this. Okay, so if you have cross ventilation, now what will happen? The air will like to flow towards the sea, correct? And it will cross from this window. So again, you will get free flow of air from your house. Okay, so you need not worry if you have a sea facing bungalow. You are very scared, like what will happen, okay, have I invested my money correctly now? So land breeze is this, understood? Then we come to the last process, that is radiation of heating. So you understood conduction, convection, now you have radiation. Radiation is basically where heat transfer in this case takes place directly from fire to us by a process known as radiation. So radiation is actually based on electromagnetic waves that are traveling. It is not given in class 6, but infrared radiations or waves are moving towards you which you can't see, but they are moving towards you, and from that you are getting the heat. Now, one more thing important here, it does not require any kind of medium. So even in vacuum, the radiations can go. Understood? Now, then it talks about that what color of cloth you should be wearing. So it tells that during the summer season, what you want a color of cloth that reflects most of the heat. Why? Because sun is giving a lot of heat. Now, your body is cooler than whatever is the outside temperature. So what you want to do? You want to reflect away the sunlight. You don't want the sunlight. So you wear in summer, you wear light colored or white colored clothes. White color does very good reflection. Now, in the winters, what you will do? In the winters, what you will do? You will wear something dark color. Why dark color? Because dark color absorbs heat very well. So you will absorb all the heat, and also more than that, whatever is your body heat, that also you will be having. So dark colored clothes are used in the winter season. They are more comfortable because they absorb more heat, while the white color ones like I am wearing is better for summers. Now, in the same phenomena, you can see all of it. For example, if I am cooking Maggie, then I am feeling the heat in every way. Correct? Like for example, here I can see convection, the water moving. Now, if I'm using a stirrer like this, my spoon, now I can see conduction also in that spoon. Then, of course, from the heat that is getting raised, you must be getting sweaty and all if you put your face near it. Now, all that is a combination of convection as well as some amount of radiation. So, all these you can see in one thing also. Then it talks about something that we know as Bukhari. What is this? This is something that is done in very upper reaches of Himalayan region. So what happens? There is a chimney also. Now chimney well vent out all the gases and everything, and this is a firewood that will have coal and everything, and that is closed in nature, so that all these gases that are getting released will not choke you inside the house, and everything goes away. All these gases, and what you get heat. Now sometimes they keep it flat like this, so this can be used for cooking or heating something also. Then then it talks about water cycle, which we have already seen. So plants doing transpiration, from sea you have evaporation, then you have condensation in the clouds, and then eventually it becomes too heavy to be controlled by the clouds, and then there is precipitation and the process continues. So this is what you know as this is what you know as water cycle. Here precipitation can be in the form of rain, snow, hail, all these we have seen. So this is called water cycle. Then it talks about Varamihir. So Varamihir, he had written Brihat Samhita. Now Brihat Samhita is written by Varamihir. He was an astronomer and mathematician. Here he gave many methods to predict the seasonal rainfall. Now, some were accurate, some were not so accurate, but this is the early scientist that we had in India. Then it talks about two more phenomena. One is called seepage or infiltration. What is infiltration? You can see it here. So basically, these small pebbles, rocks, whatever are there, they have spaces between them. Now, what will happen if there is water here? If there is water here, water will pass through this, and if there is connected spaces between them, it will eventually get to something known as aquifer. Okay, so infiltration is what? Water can seep through the gravel more easily. In this way, water seep beneath the earth's surface. This process of surface water seeping through soil and rocks is called infiltration. Then, water can infiltrate more readily if enough space is there between rock particles and the soil. Then, now it becomes, eventually this only becomes groundwater. The underground layers of sediments and rocks that store water in pores are called aquifers. Aquifers are the reason why you get water in your wells, why you get water in your, when you do, when you make bore wells. You can see it here, rain, sea well. So this at the bottom layer where everything is collected, the water is collected like this is called aquifer. Aquifers are recharged how? Using infiltration of water. Understood? Whenever there is rainfall, there will be infiltration also. If you have not made it a concrete jungle, if it is normal soil, there will be infiltration. Then it talks about that groundwater is not very limited. Correct? Sorry, groundwater is not unlimited. So if you do excessive extraction means which cannot be replenished in the same time. So every year, for example, in monsoon, aquifers get recharged, and in the summers they get more and more used by the people. So it should be in proper proportion, so that you're not extracting more than what can be replenished in the monsoon season. Correct? Then, so excessive groundwater extraction, decreased vegetation cover, increased concrete surfaces, all these are reasons why you have now groundwater, or in general also water crisis at many places. Even in cities like Bangalore, you have these crises. What are the solution? Rainwater harvesting, recharge pits. Correct? These are the solutions to it, so that there is more infiltration. More infiltration means what? That the aquifers will be filled much, the aquifers will be replenished, then you can use it. Then it talks about a special technique, last thing, which is ice stupa. This is done by the people of Ladakh. Okay, this is said to be developed by Sonam Wangchuk. Okay, that scientist. So basically, ice stupa is what? See, during the, what happens? So during certain seasons, ice in Ladakh does not melt very easily from the mountains. So their rivers do not have water. Now, how to deal with this? This is a problem. So what they do, that in the winter when there is snowfall, they create a layer by layer ice sheet like mountain here. These, not mountain as such, but layer by layer structure like this they call ice stupa. Now, this is much more easier to melt. So when there is spring season, even in this spring season, layer by layer it starts to melt, and it tends to provide them the water that they need in those seasons. So this is ice stupa. The ice builds up layer by layer, creating a tall cone shaped structure called ice stupa. The ice stupa melts slowly during spring, providing water for farming and other needs throughout the summer. Understood? So this is how people in Ladakh have made ice stupas and are able to get water during the spring and summer season. Because in the high mountains, even in those, even during those time of the year, it does not melt the water. So this is ice stupa. This is it for your chapter regarding heat transfer also. That's it.